Hi, everyone. I'm Alex.
And I'm Kirsten.
Kirsten has a story prepared for us. I've never heard it. What are we talking about tonight?
So we're going to talk about the Invisible Man case. So have you seen the movie?
Nope.
Okay. So rumor has it the movie got its idea from this story, but we don't know that for sure. But it's pretty close.
Is this a paranormal story, or is this like a real life story?
It's a real life story. This really happened, but it's not. It's either the person was crazy or they're not crazy and someone is extremely crafty.
Okay.
Okay. So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So our story takes place in Vancouver. Well, kind of Vancouver, Canada. It's in Canada.
Around Vancouver?
Yeah, it's around Vancouver. So our main person is Cindy James, and she's the oldest of 6 kids, and she lived in Richmond, Canada, which is like the suburb of Vancouver.
Okay.
So there's not a whole lot reported about like her growing up or anything, but we know when she was 19, she married a doctor named Roy Makepeace.
Makepeace.
Yes, his last name is Makepeace.
It's a good name for a doctor.
Yeah, he was 18 years older than her. So
fairly significant.
I would say it's more significant when you're 19 than when you're like 50.
Yeah. 38 and 19.
Yeah.
That's a big age gap, especially it's not the older both people get, the smaller difference the gap seems to make.
Yeah.
But at her age, at that younger age, that's a big gap.
Yeah, I feel like it is, at least. It's just like you have one person whose brain's already matured and one person who's not, so.
Yeah, 19, your brain's not fully developed.
You're correct.
But hey, if it works, it works. I'm not against it, just.
Yeah, it's just an interesting factoid.
They don't usually work out very well.
Yeah. Oh, I also meant to mention this is happening in like the late 70s.
Okay.
Okay. So after they got married, Cindy worked as a nurse, and she really enjoyed working with kids, especially kids with like emotional problems is the way they worded it. So my guess is like behavior kids or kids that aren't always like typically developing kids.
Is this her job?
Yeah, she's just a nurse. She really likes working in like pediatrics.
Okay.
Yeah. So in 1982, Cindy and her husband decided to end their marriage, and it was said that Cindy was really happy to end the marriage and move on with her life. I couldn't find anything if he was happy about it or not, but she was happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know why they ended the marriage?
It doesn't say why they ended the marriage, but I mean, a lot of speculation around it was just the fact that he was not the nicest person.
Okay.
Yeah. So Cindy moves out and she's living on her own and she gets settled and she starts her new life basically.
Now, when did they get divorced, you said?
82.
82?
Yeah.
So how long were they married?
It doesn't say. It just says they got married in the mid 70s. So.
Okay. No kids or anything?
No, they didn't have any kids together.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 1982, she starts her new life.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So like she's super happy to be on her own, but pretty much as soon as she like gets her house set up and she's all excited, she starts receiving some like weird phone calls. And, like, the phone would ring, and when she would answer it, the person on the other line would just, like, start screaming at her that they wanted her dead and they were going to kill her. And, like, they only lasted a few seconds before they would hang up.
She recognized the voice?
That's not said.
Okay.
So, but then, like, after that happened for a while, like, Cindy's just like, okay, whatever. You know, maybe it's kids, maybe it's not, but whatever. She doesn't really seem like she's worried about it, but she doesn't seem to be like freaking out about it.
Right. It's just a phone call and threats, but nothing's happened.
Yeah, nothing's happened. But then, so Cindy would get like mail in her mailbox, obviously, but like she started receiving letters that had been like, you know, like cut and pasted together, kind of like a collage.
Right. From like a magazine.
Yeah. But like this is like, it would say like, I see you. And like, I don't know. It looked like it was from a scary movie. Like there's pictures of it. But like, and at first she didn't say anything about the letters and the phone calls because she thought, well, eventually they'll just stop, you know.
They'll get bored.
Yeah, exactly. If it's kids, they'll get bored. So anyway, so she ends up going to her parents and like she does tell them like what's been happening. And so Cindy's parents suggest that like, well, you know, maybe you should just make like a police report just in case, you know, maybe you do have a weird stalker or she was working with kids with issues. So maybe it was one of them that like was weirdly attached to her or something.
Yeah.
But so she goes to the police and they're like, well, you can file a report, but they're not going to do anything about it. obviously, because they, half. It said that they were like really condescending to her. So
Right.
it's like, yeah, you can make a report if you want, but we're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
So Cindy goes home after making her report, and like she said, like the harassment didn't stop, and in fact, like it got more graphic. So like they were talking about like there was like one picture of like someone being wheeled into the morgue, and it was like you're next, and like some other just weird pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not say, but I just really want to know where they got a picture of somebody being wheeled into the morgue.
Okay, they like mailed this is the 80s, so like
Yeah.
like a developed picture from a
It looked some pictures, like some of the pictures look like magazine pictures,
Mhm.
like, but I don't know what magazine has morgue pictures in it.
I don't know.
I don't know either. So, but like everybody that talks about Cindy says that she was like a beautiful person and she loved life, and like she was like the really type of person you want to be around.
Mhm.
And then friends and family started to notice that she was becoming more withdrawn and like less social. So like obviously like it kind of started to take a toll on her, that like eventually at some point you have to start internalizing this. I feel like that, like, why is this person don't like me this much and I don't even know who this person is.
How long has this gone on?
This is the really weird thing. There's not a whole lot of dates for this.
Okay.
But like we know that this happens over like several months.
Yeah.
So but like it stated like, oh, this happened for months on end, that like all this was happening.
Right.
So like but like so she started to appear like physically to be more tired and frazzled, and then like when she was at work she just seemed like she was really distracted.
So it's finally getting to her.
Yeah, like, and I feel like it kind of would have to be getting to her. So like, warning, we're going to talk about some animal abuse here.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Trigger warning.
Yeah, basically trigger warning. So like as like time continues, like the threats were escalating, obviously, if they're sitting here saying you're next and all this, like, so anyways, so like she ended up like she came home from work and she found 3 dead cats hanging like in her garden.
Mm-hmm.
And then like one night when she returned from work, like it was said that like she found 3 more dead cats hanging on her porch.
Right. So now someone is coming to her house,
Yeah.
leaving dead animals. Did she call the police?
Yeah, which we're about to get there. But so hang on. So on that same night though, that she finds like the dead cats on her porch, like she finds out that her porch lights are smashed, and then like she goes to call the police specifically that one time, like, and like her phone lines were cut.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty progressive past just calling and
Yeah.
threatening. Someone's cut the phone lines and left dead animals, smashed your lights to make sure
You
they
can't
can't
see
be
out.
seen.
Yeah. Also, just in case somebody doesn't know, way back in the 80s, you didn't have cell phones, and your phones actually had a phone line that were hooked up to other lines, and that's how you made phone calls.
Physical connection.
Yeah, so
there were cell phones in the later 80s, I think.
Yeah, but they weren't
They were
common.
expensive, and not very many people had them.
Yeah, so just so like like, because we're about to get into walkie-talkies too.
Okay.
But like, so like you actually could physically cut someone's lines. So like that plays a part in this multiple times. So like Cindy is keeping all the letters and the things that she's received. So like the first letters in her mailbox, they had stamps on them. So they had to have been mailed from somewhere. And then they started just showing up in her mailbox without a stamp. And then they started appearing on her front door. So like this person, I feel like, is getting more and more bold.
Yeah, this person knows where you live. They're coming to your house.
Yeah.
How well did she know her neighbors? Was she friends with her neighbors?
It doesn't say, but I mean, if you do think about this, this happened over a couple months, but she just moved to this neighborhood.
Right.
Like she had just moved into this house. So like my other thing is like, who would have known that she moved other than the people in her life already?
Right. So she doesn't know her neighbors really.
No.
She's not been there long. She's been harassed on the phone, and then it's progressed to this person coming physically to her home, leaving dead animals, cutting her phone lines, smashing her porch lights. That seems pretty severe.
Yeah, I would think so. Okay, so Cindy has a good friend named Agnes. So like she comes over to visit one night, and like she goes up to the front door and she's knocking and knocking and there's no answer, and she knows that Cindy's home because there's like she's always there if she's not at work, and her car's there. So like she knows she's there. Like why isn't she answering the phone? And then she was like, oh well, maybe she's taking a bath. So she decides to walk around to the back of the house to see if like, oh, you're in the back, let me knock on the back door, maybe you'll hear me. So like she decides to walk around back. So she's in the backyard, and then she sees somebody like crouched down in the backyard, and like Cindy had like this garden back there, and she finds out that it's Cindy, and like she's like clearly trying to hide from someone.
Cindy's in her own backyard trying to hide.
Yes.
Okay, her friend walks around back and finds her.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so she calls out to her, and Agnes realizes that there's a black nylon stocking tied around Cindy's neck. So Agnes helps Cindy get the stocking off, and Cindy tries her best to tell Agnes what's going on. So Agnes helps Cindy get the stocking off her neck, and like she's like, what in the world is happening? And are you okay? So that's when like she starts to tell her that she was in the house, and she went to the garage to look for something, and then someone came up behind her and like wrapped the stocking around her neck and then started to strangle her. So Agnes asked her if she knew who attacked her, and Cindy said no, because they came up from behind her, but she did say that they had on like extremely clean white sneakers.
So that's all she could see?
Yeah, like that's all she could see was like these extremely clean white sneakers. So Cindy then said that like while they were attacking her, they heard Agnes like knock, knock, knock on the door, you know, and so that's when they took off running, because they were like, oh, someone's here, you know.
Okay. Oh, so Agnes saved her life.
Yeah, exactly.
Just by coming over,
and
knocking
being,
on the door.
Yeah, just being like, I'm going to go talk to Cindy.
Right.
Yeah.
Where does Agnes live? Is she a longtime friend, old friend?
It says that they were really good friends. It doesn't really say like, and she comes up a couple times in the story, so they must have been really good friends.
She wasn't answering the phone?
I don't know. No, this is the 80s. People just showed up.
Okay. Really good friends. They just showed up at your house.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
This is the 80s. People just showed up. So anyways, like, so it scared them off, and then they ran away, and that's when Cindy ran to the backyard to hide, because she was thinking, well, what if they come back in the house? At least I could maybe get out on the street or something.
Right.
You know.
I would have thought you would go to the front yard, like where maybe in the street already. Maybe yell for neighbors or something. I mean, you were just attacked.
Yeah.
I would have thought she would run to the closest neighbor, like banging on the door.
Maybe, but also, I don't know. What if she's thinking they're right there? What if they're going to like come and tackle me and drag me back into the house or something? What if hiding was what she felt was the safest option?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it. Could be. I mean, I don't know if her neighbors are the kind of people to be paying attention.
I don't know. It's
not.
Canada. I don't know. Canada has a good rap for everybody being nice, so
Yeah.
maybe.
But what time was this? Do you know?
It was close to dark.
Close to dark.
Yeah.
So people should be awake.
Yeah.
I mean, if you run down the street screaming,
Yeah.
you'd think someone would hear you.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah. I doubt you're going to be chased right down the street while you're running and screaming. That probably is going to scare the person off.
I mean,
They're
you would
going to be
think
running
so.
the other way, trying to get away.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So Agnes is worried about Cindy, obviously, but Cindy stays at her house. She's like, it's fine.
What?
I know. I know.
I'm not staying in that house. I can't sleep.
I know.
Someone knows where you live. They already got into your house.
We got into the garage, and like the picture of it, like obviously I think they're connected.
Mm-hmm.
Like the garage and the house are connected, but like I don't know, maybe they didn't make it all the way in the
Yeah,
house.
I wondered that too. Did she come out of the house and into the garage door, or
it looks like that? Like,
but it looks like they're connected.
Yeah, there was at least a picture shown, and I don't know 100% sure that is her house, but like at least in the picture, it looks like the garage is attached to the house.
Either way, this person has gotten into the building or buildings on your property, and is willing, at least, and probably capable of getting into your house. I mean, they can get in if they really want to.
Yeah.
I don't know how common alarm systems were. I know some people had them. I don't know how.
Yeah. Well, they worked.
How many people had them? I know they worked pretty well if you use them.
Yeah.
But a lot of people probably didn't set them at night because, if like they had like the sensors on the walls inside your house.
Yeah.
And if you have a pet or children, or if you get up in the middle of the night and forget to turn it off just to go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen or something.
Yep.
The alarm's going off.
Yeah.
Your neighbors are calling the cops.
Oh, yeah. Or it calls the cops, depending.
Yeah. So this person has the means and the motivation to get inside, obviously.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be staying in that house anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
the police aren't involved yet?
She's went to the police, and they're just like, yeah, no, we're not doing anything.
Why?
I don't know. That actually comes into question a lot in this case, is like, we know, okay, like, I'm not trying to dog police, but like half the time they're just like, we ain't doing squat, it's on you. And like,
they don't believe Well, I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
they hear a lot of, oh, this person's threatening me or trying to
Yeah.
do something bad. I think something bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, nothing bad's happened.
Yeah. Well,
But I
literally.
mean, someone attacked me in my home. I'm calling the police and
Yeah.
saying, hey, I've been attacked inside my home.
Mhm.
They should be doing something by then.
Well, in a minute she goes to the cops, so just give her a minute.
Okay.
Give her a minute.
Okay.
Okay, but we don't know why Cindy chose to stay in her house. Maybe she couldn't move. Who knows? She did just buy this house, so maybe she couldn't afford to sell it.
No, I mean, I don't think it would have mattered. This person's keeping tabs on her. I'm saying you don't need to be in there alone.
Yeah, I know. But okay, so anyway, so Cindy's, still continuing to receive her letters, and like they're getting more violent and all that, and now they're being left on her windshield of her car. And I don't know, just at her house or possibly at work too. I'm not entirely sure. It just said they were like continually placing them on her windshield.
So I know cameras aren't popular in the 80s. They're probably, if you, I don't know how many places had cameras in the 80s, but even if you did, you'd have to have like a VHS to record them.
Yeah.
And they don't record for,
Yeah.
they probably didn't make them long enough to like cover an entire work shift. But I mean, you could at least go to your neighbors and be like, hey.
Yeah.
But you don't know if one of them is your neighbor, right?
Exactly. What if this person is your neighbor?
Right.
You don't know.
I was going to say, you could go to your neighbors and ask them, hey, can you keep an eye like while I'm gone, or, anytime you're home, if you see someone go up to my house or up to my car or whatever, can you kind of see what they look like? Let me know, especially if you see them put anything on my door, my windows, or my car. But yeah, if one of them is your neighbor, they're not going to do it once you're going to alert them.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So this is where
tough.
it gets a little weird. I mean, like this whole story's weird.
Okay.
But so apparently the person decided that Cindy wasn't scared enough by the cats, that raw meat started being delivered to her house that like Cindy didn't order. And it didn't say what kind of meat, but I'd be like, I get thanks for the groceries, maybe. I don't know. I probably wouldn't trust it because I don't know you.
No, I'm not going to eat it.
I know, right? Like, what if it's poison? But like, I don't know. So, one night, Cindy has a dog. That comes important in this.
Did she always have the dog, or did she get the dog when this was happening?
It's not said, but so she comes home one night and like the dog is like shaking and like there's a cord tied tightly around the dog's neck. And like it's alive, but like it's sitting there like in its own waist. Like
is it just a cord around its neck, or is it tethered to something?
It didn't say. It seemed like someone had tried to like strangle the dog, but like they just quit, and then the dog's just sitting there like waiting on her to come home, and it's like peed and pooped everywhere.
Right. Well, yeah. If it's a dog that's inside and it doesn't have a doggy door,
Yeah,
it's probably it's been scared.
Yeah, I'm sure.
To death. Yeah.
So Cindy said like there were weeks where she would receive threats every day, and sometimes like multiple times a day. She'd get phone calls and letters, and like, but then like they would just stop for like long periods of time, like a week, 2 weeks, like she wouldn't get anything.
Right.
So, and then immediately as soon as like Cindy started to really think like, oh hey, maybe this person moved on, maybe I'm not their obsession anymore, and then they would come back.
Right. Well, you said she went to the cops after the inside the garage attack.
Yeah. And they just were like, yeah, cool, there's nothing we can do about it. Thanks, bye.
I mean, did they talk to the neighbors or anything?
Nope.
Nothing.
They basically, they didn't flat out say they didn't believe her, but like, it's clear that they didn't believe her.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like during that time, like Cindy had a journal, and like she would write down like how like this is affecting her, and like the fact that like, and then like after the fact, detectives, after they would read her journal, saw like a steady decline in her mental health as like everything continued.
Right.
So like,
wait, who saw a decline?
The detectives.
What detectives?
You're getting there. Hang on.
Okay.
So like when Cindy first went to the police, like they told her like they didn't believe her, and that like she was making the letters up, and like she was just getting prank calls from kids. Like not a big deal.
They told her she was making it up? Okay.
And then like at this point, like Cindy wrote in her journal that like she would have to fight the person herself. So like she moves and then doesn't tell anybody like where she's moved to except her parents. Okay. So, but then she also changed her last name in the hopes that like nobody would find her, like, you know.
That's awful that you'd have to do that.
Well, and to be fair, I don't actually know if this, like, she changes her name back to what it was before she was married, or she changes it completely.
Right.
So, like, we weren't really sure. So after she changes her name, like, she's hoping, like, okay, no one's gonna find me. Everything's gonna be fine. We're all good.
Right.
She ends up hiring a private detective.
Yeah.
And his name is Ozzy.
Ozzy?
Ozzy. I like his name, too.
Okay.
And so, like, tells him everything and hopes that, like, he can find something at least. Like, can you figure out who this is, or, like, anything at this point?
Yeah.
So, like, he starts his investigation, but he gets the feeling that Cindy isn't telling him the whole truth, that she knows something more than she'll tell him. So Ozzy goes and talks to Cindy's parents, and, like, they agree that, like, they feel like Cindy's just holding something back. But they thought that it was that she might know who it is, but she's too afraid to say anything. So Ozzy ends up determining that, like,
if she knew who she thought it might be, why wouldn't she say anything?
What if they threatened your whole family?
They're already a threat.
I know. But, like,
I mean, if they want to threaten your family, they can.
Yeah. But think about it. It's like, I've already got to you. I can get to your mom and dad.
If you, say my name?
If you tell the police who I am. If you, whatever.
If she knows.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, like, they just get the feeling like she's holding something back. Her parents think it's that they know that she knows who it is. But Ozzy's not entirely sure. Ozzy's determined to figure this out. Like, he installed lights on Cindy's house so that, like, she could see out. Like,
this detective?
Yes. Well, he's not a detective. He's a private investigator that Cindy is paying. So he installs, like, more lights on her house, like, on the outside, so that, like, Cindy can see out, like, if somebody comes up to the front door and stuff.
Okay.
So he also gives her a two-way radio with a panic button on it. So, like, if her phone lines get cut again, like, he could always get to her at least. At least he will know something's wrong.
That's a hell of a private investigator.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like, do you got a thing for
He's
him?
like a rogue cop.
I kind of got that feeling, too.
What'd Sheldon say? Like a rogue cop that was drummed off the force, and now he's dealing out his own brand of justice or something like that.
Exactly.
I like this guy so far.
I know. So, one night, Ozzy hears some, like, sounds coming from the radio, just crackling and shuffling. And so, like, he's getting worried. But what I'm thinking is it's more like he didn't want to, like, call out just in case, like, somebody is there. You know, like, what if, like, she's, like, getting murdered or something, and, like, you know,
right.
Like, yeah, you could scare off the person, or potentially you could, like, hurry this up so he kills her faster, and then Ozzy can't get there in time if he says something. But, so, Ozzy, like, is getting worried about her, but, like, you know, so, like, he takes off.
Well,
what?
If he's, I'm sorry,
You're
if
fine.
he's hearing anything from her end, someone's pushing the button.
Yeah,
right?
well, potentially, or think about it, he could have gotten knocked over and, like, it's sitting on the button, so he can hear what's going on.
Right, if it's constant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he rushes over to Cindy's house. When, like, he gets there, like, Cindy's laying in the floor. And, like, when he gets to her, he sees a knife through her hand.
Through her hand?
Through her hand, into the floor.
Oh, her hand's been pinned to the floor with a knife.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And, like, Cindy, yeah, so she's, like, got the knife through her hand, and, like, there's a whole note attached to her hand. And it just says, quote, you are a dead bitch, end quote. So, like,
but she's alive.
Well, yeah, Cindy wasn't moving, and Ozzy thought she was dead, but, like, he finds a faint pulse, he calls 911, and so, like, she's taken to the hospital. So while she's at the hospital, Ozzy is waiting for, like, her to wake up, and, like, when she does, he's asking her all these questions, but Cindy says the only thing she can remember is a needle being placed in her arm when she was asleep.
It's like she woke up feeling the needle?
Yeah.
Woke her up?
Yeah, like you know, like you get pinched when somebody gives you a needle. Yeah.
It startles you kind of awake.
But then you're just out after that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's all that she says.
Okay, so that's why she seemed dead.
Yeah.
So someone drugged her, knocked her out, put her on the floor, and stabbed her through the hand with that note.
Yep.
They're just trying to, like, torture her. They're not killing her yet. They're playing a game, I guess.
That's very much, it seems like that.
Right. Like they could have done whatever they wanted right then if they wanted to kill her or something.
Yeah. Exactly.
I really hate this person.
Oh, so you ready to get real mad?
Yeah.
Ozzy and Cindy are both upset because when the police come, they don't take any fingerprints at her house, the knife, or the handwritten note. They don't take any of it as evidence.
Every child who has ever watched a police show or a movie knows when someone was stabbed in their own home, you look for fingerprints.
Yeah, but no, they don't do any of that.
You investigate. That's what your job is. I know.
The police come to Cindy and tell her that they're growing tired of her and that she needs to come clean, and they don't believe her, and that she just needs to move on.
What'd they say about the knife wound in her hand?
Oh, she did it to herself.
What is wrong with these idiots?
Yep. So, like, Ozzy was adamant this whole time, though, that, like, no one could have done this to themselves because of the angle of the stab wound and that she was injected. So, like, Cindy wanted to try to remember anything that she could, so she agrees to go under hypnosis. Like, because
who suggested the hypnosis?
Ozzy did.
Okay.
Like, Ozzy was just like, well, we got to figure something out. So let's see what you can remember under hypnosis, which was a thing back then that, you know, people believed could actually help them.
I wonder how much he got paid.
I have no idea. I kind of want to know that too.
Whatever it was, it sounds like it was worth it.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
You know, so she tried to bring up anything, but like it wasn't great. But here's the other thing. Police ended up giving her several polygraph tests. Mm-hmm. Every one of them came back truthful.
Yeah.
But then the police wanted to say that they consider her too traumatized to be able to give any useful information.
Okay. I'm not even going to comment. Just
I know.
carry on.
So
tell me more.
So police then decide, cool, you know what? Let's set up 24/7 surveillance watching Cindy's house.
Yeah.
And like tapping her phone lines. But of course, nothing happened. Mm-hmm. Like, well, the whole time they were watching her, like, you know, there was no proof.
Well, whoever's doing all this is likely watching your house.
Yeah.
If they see you setting up a bunch of stuff to survey the house.
And you see a cop car sitting outside your house constantly.
You're going to back off for a while.
Exactly.
And you likely already know she's been to the police, but you likely know that they've largely ignored her. Mm-hmm. So you back off, you wait a little while, and then you can go back to your stupid game.
Exactly. So, but the police use this as proof that she was faking it because nothing happened when they were there.
Right. Well, you know, bad people don't do bad things when good people are watching most of the time.
Typically.
If you don't want to get caught for a crime, you don't commit the crime while people are watching you to see if you're going to commit the crime.
Yeah.
Right.
So Cindy's parents thought whoever it was either really smart and could just see the fact that the police were there and just stayed away, but that they were they also kind of thought that the person was trying to make Cindy look like she was crazy, and that she was the one doing this to herself.
Wait.
What?
Agnes. No.
I had never actually considered that.
She just happened to be there, right? Like,
yeah.
Wait, I wonder what color Agnes's shoes were.
Okay, look.
What?
Like, you're about to hit on something in a minute, but I never actually considered Agnes.
Well, it just hit me that Agnes just happened to be. No. If she was being strangled while someone was knocking on the door, and then Agnes went around,
so it can't be Agnes.
So it wouldn't have been Agnes.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, never mind.
It's not Agnes.
I was gonna say
sorry, Agnes.
If she didn't see who was strangling her, and suddenly she got away and never saw it, whoever was strangling her, if they were actually her friend, could have followed her to wherever she went in the backyard and walked around and said, "Hey, it's me. I just came to check on you. Why are you back here?"
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, okay. It's not Agnes.
Probably not Agnes.
Probably not Agnes.
Possibly still Agnes.
We'll see.
Okay.
Anyway, so once the police were gone, for a bit, the calls started back, and then they couldn't be traced because they were only a couple seconds long. They still had the tap on her phone, but they couldn't do anything with it.
They couldn't trace it, but could they at least hear that it was happening?
See, I don't know. It wasn't clear, but they're still saying this whole time that she's just faking it.
Mm-hmm.
So the next attack is even more awful and left Cindy hospitalized. So she was found in a ditch 6 miles from her home wearing a man's work boot, just one, and a glove. So they find her in a ditch 6 miles from her house. And it doesn't say who found her.
Okay.
It just says Cindy was found. So I'm assuming probably by passing motorists. And she was suffering from hypothermia. She had cuts and bruises all over her body. And then again, she had another black nylon stocking wrapped around her neck.
Mm-hmm.
She once again had no memory of what happened that night. And then she was finally released to go home after all this happened. Police are still saying, we don't believe you. But then Agnes and her husband, Tom, they're like, no, you're not going back to your house by yourself. Bare minimum, we're coming with you.
Agnes has a husband.
She does have a husband. His name is Tom.
Does Tom have white sneakers?
I don't know. No one mentioned the color of Tom's sneakers.
Could be Tom.
It could be. So they come and stay the night with her because, Cindy didn't really want to be alone, but, neither does Agnes doesn't want her to be alone either.
Right.
And I guess Tom's like, I'm going with you. I got the
Yeah,
impression that Tom was like, my wife ain't staying over there without me.
No, hell no. You know someone's coming into your house and attacking you in the middle of the night.
Exactly. And now we just found you in a ditch 6 miles from your house, and we don't know.
If you both go to sleep and this person comes in, they'll probably just drug you both.
Exactly. So everyone goes to bed. Everything's fine. And then in the middle of the night, they wake up to noises coming from the basement. So it was a crackling noise. So Tom, Agnes's husband, goes down to see what's happening, and then he sees that there's a fire in the basement.
Okay.
So he yells for someone to call 911, but
Phone lines are cut.
the phone lines are cut. So Tom ran outside to ask the neighbor to call 911. When he went outside...
Oh, no. No, not Tom.
Hang on. When he went outside, he saw a man just standing out there staring at the front of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Tom just yells at the guy, dude, call 911. It's dark, so Tom can't really see who the guy is. So after Tom yells at him, he takes off running down the street.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom gets a neighbor to call 911, and luckily the fire department got there. The police then determine
Oh, God.
that the fire started in the house since there were no fingerprints on the window that they thought the perpetrator would have used to enter the house. So, they look at a couple windows, saw there was no prints, and then they said that it had to come from someone inside. Since they found no fingerprints, the police determined that Cindy had staged the entire event.
Are there multiple police officers that investigate this every time?
It seems like this is a pretty small town. I think it's one police department, and they're all like, this chick's crazy, don't worry about it.
I just wonder if there's one guy doing the investigation, like, hey, no, put me on it. I've been here before. I know the situation. Let me see. And, the one guy is going back and saying, no, nothing's happening. She's nuts.
See, I don't know.
And it's this guy.
See, I don't think it's them. I think they're getting paid off. Yeah, so investigators pointed out that the one of the reasons they thought that Cindy was making everything up was because that Cindy walks her dog alone at night. So therefore, she must not be scared of an attacker.
Well, when you don't have anyone to walk your dog with you every single night, you don't really have much choice.
Yeah.
Although, what kind of dog is it? Does it say?
It doesn't say. It never said what kind of dog.
I guess it doesn't matter. The person's already bested the dog once.
Yeah.
In the house.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing.
So they're not afraid of the dog.
Yeah, whoever this is definitely not afraid of the dog.
So I don't know. I wonder, any noise at all. If we're both in the house, our dogs are going nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, someone's outside.
Yeah.
Someone's somewhere else in the house, around the house, making noise.
So who would a dog be familiar with, though, that might not be worried about if they're in the house?
Yeah, I don't know. Tom? No.
Not Tom.
What was her name? Agnes?
Well, Agnes, but there is another person that was only in the very beginning of the story.
What's that movie? Have you ever seen that movie with Dakota Fanning and Robert De Niro? Where
Maybe?
It turns out the whole time he's got split personalities, and he finds a dead cat in the bathtub, and he keeps thinking his daughter's doing these things, and she's blaming it on her friend, but her friend is him.
Oh,
and he wakes up
it's
at the same
Into the
time
Woods or something like that. The kid goes into a cave at something at the end. She's got a yellow rain jacket on and the thing.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I remember I stole that movie from
What
my
if
brother.
it was Cindy and she's doing it to herself, but it's not Cindy, it's Cindy's other personality?
Would you just hang on a second?
Sorry, that's creepy.
You're jumping ahead 5 pages.
Wait, so I'm right?
You're not right. Okay. Well, I don't know if you're right or not. Nobody knows if you're right or not. So, hold please. I don't think so. I don't think that's what it is.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so Cindy's parents are starting to get really worried about her mental state, and since it's declining, and they believe that she's becoming suicidal is what they believe.
She's been tortured.
Yeah, I know, right?
She's being tortured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, she had her doctor, like, commit her to a local psychiatric ward, and, like, she spent 10 weeks in that hospital.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a significant amount of time.
That is a significant amount of time. And then, like, when she was released, like, that's when, like, she finally told her family, like, yeah, I've been holding something back from you. And Cindy told them that the attacker threatened to kill her whole family if she'd ever told anyone who it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Cindy was falling into a deeper depression because she believed that, like, no one was going to believe her because, well, they hadn't in the past.
Right.
And, like, Cindy wrote in her journal that she did want to kill herself because her life was a living hell.
That's awful.
Yeah. So Cindy goes to the police and tells them that she's ready to tell them, like, who's doing all this, who she believed was doing all this.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
She said it was her husband, Roy Makepeace.
Uh-huh.
Now, this is where I think it gets incredibly interesting.
He's a doctor, right?
Uh-huh.
So access to drugs.
Guess what kind of doctor he is?
Anesthesiologist?
He's a psychiatrist.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a psych something.
Yeah.
Psycho, if he's doing it.
Yeah. So, hang on. Roy worked as a psychiatrist, and the police went out to question him, and he denied everything. And he was like, hey, I actually have some evidence on my answering machine. So, like, Roy gave them the tape from his answering machine and said that there was a recording of who he believed to be his ex-wife, Cindy, sending him death threats. So Roy goes on to tell the police that he believes Cindy is suffering from a split personality disorder.
And they just believed him. Oh. Does she have any evidence at all of the calls that she received?
I don't think so.
No recordings of them or anything, right?
I don't think so.
And if the police, I mean, when they had the phone tapped or whatever, you said they made a couple second calls.
Yeah.
Like 2-second calls or something.
Yeah.
A couple times. If they actually did, I don't know, they either didn't believe that it was real and that Cindy had set it up to make the calls to herself to make the threats or whatever. It's possible that she's going nuts being tortured. I mean, maybe she's already has some kind of disorder or something, but if she's being driven nuts if she doesn't. She could have called and left the messages on his machine if she believed it was him doing these horrible things to her.
Yeah.
That's entirely possible that that's real.
Yeah.
But he could have staged it too.
Exactly.
If he's already doing this to her.
Yeah.
But he would have had to get someone else to do it. Someone that sounded similar to her, right?
Now, here's the thing about that. Like, Roy's saying, like, oh, she has split personality disorder. But Cindy just spent 10 weeks in the psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
And, like, the entire time, she was never diagnosed with a personality disorder.
She was probably just relieved to be somewhere she felt fairly safe.
Yeah.
That was probably the best 10 weeks she had in a long time.
It probably was. So one day, Cindy goes to the shopping center to deposit her paycheck and grab a few items she needed from the grocery store. So Cindy's car was then found in the shopping center parking lot on May 25th of 1989. So FYI, that was the same year that she went shopping.
May 25th, 1989.
Yes.
This is like 5 years or 8 years after she moved into this house. It was happening the whole time?
Yes. So 8 years.
Just every now and then something bad would happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So over 8 years, like this entire time, they're like, we don't believe you.
Yeah, if she wasn't crazy before, that...
8 years of this would make you crazy.
Yeah, of course. I don't see how she could be sane.
Yeah. So that's when they found her car after she was reported missing. So somebody reported her missing, and I'm not sure if it was Agnes or her mom. When the investigators approached the car, they found blood on the driver's side door, like on the outside.
Yeah.
And items from her wallet were like scattered all throughout the car. So then they open up the trunk and they find the groceries that Cindy had purchased, along with a gift that like she had wrapped up, like she'd had gift wrapped for somebody. But we didn't know who it was. So for 2 weeks, her family waited to find out what happened to Cindy. Like, would she show up again? Would she not? You know.
Yeah.
So, and for those 2 weeks, police and her family searched for Cindy. So, like, finally her body was found in the front yard of an abandoned house in what was said to be a heavily trafficked area, like with a lot of foot traffic.
Okay.
So, like, that led many to believe that Cindy was obviously dumped there. Like, her body was dumped there.
Yeah.
So, and at first it seemed like she couldn't have been killed when she first was reported missing because, you know, it had been 2 weeks. But investigators believed that, like, she was taken somewhere, killed, and then placed at the abandoned house. But after the autopsy came back, it stated that she had most likely died the day she went missing. So, like, and then the body showed several wounds, but there was also an injection mark in her arm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So investigators didn't find any needles close by to the crime scene or anything like that.
So she died
The day she was missing.
taken. 2 weeks later, her body's found.
In a very high traffic area.
Yeah, so it would have been spotted if that's where she died. If she was there for 2 weeks, someone would have noticed, most likely.
Think so.
Right.
You would think so.
So that's I would think good enough evidence that someone did this to her.
You'd think so. But hang on, you can't wait till the cops' theory. So later it was determined that what she was injected with was a high dose of morphine.
Mm-hmm.
So Cindy's body was found with both her hands tied behind her back. Her feet were also tied.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a black nylon stocking or pantyhose used around her neck to strangle her. The police said that Cindy had injected herself. She had injected herself elsewhere, thrown the needle away, then somewhere, and then she walked 1.5 miles to this spot, tied both her hands and her feet, and strangled herself. Yeah, I'm not making it up.
It's one of these people investigating that's doing this. It has to be. Or they have to know who actually is doing it.
Yeah.
They're in on it either way. You can't be that stupid.
You think not?
You can't be that stupid.
Mm-hmm. So it was hard for many people to believe that Cindy did this to herself. Like, no one saw her for over a week in this area.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just don't think that she did it to herself.
Right.
But the police found no evidence that she had purchased these nylons, and and family and friends said she didn't do drugs. So here's my other thing about this. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much anybody out here knows about morphine, but I know for a damn fact if you've injected yourself with that much morphine, you ain't walking nowhere.
How much morphine was it?
The coroner later says that it plays a major factor in her death. It was that much.
It was so much morphine that it might have even been the cause of death?
Yes.
Okay.
So my thing is this.
You're sure as hell not walking 1.5 miles.
That's my thing.
Right.
Rather there are a lot of people who do drugs, and so I get you may have a tolerance for some things.
Yeah, but if it's an injection, that hits pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've ever been in the hospital and
think about when
surgery.
I had dental surgery. They were like, "Oh, that's a cool ring," and I was like, "Yeah," and then I was out. I was out, and I woke up later.
So, enough morphine to kill you, injected directly into your body.
Yeah, you're gonna pass out.
You're not walking 1.5 miles.
Exactly, that's my thing. So the Royal Canadian Mounted Police claim that Cindy's death was either suicide or an accident. But the court,
Oops, sorry, I tripped and fell, and my needle stuck you.
Yeah.
The momentum from my finger coming down on top accidentally injected you with the things in the needle.
Then I tied your hands and feet behind your back.
I panicked and tried to run, but I got tangled up in your nylons and dragged you 1.5 miles before I could finally get free.
Yep. Then I tied your hands and feet behind your back. So the coroner ruled both of those out and labeled the official cause of death as morphine overdose.
You're telling me someone is halfway competent?
Yeah, the coroner's like, no.
He's pretty much saying you're stupid and no.
Yeah, they're like, it's not this wasn't an accident, clearly. And this also was not suicide, typically.
Right.
I mean, they literally were it was clear the nylons were tied hard enough around her neck that someone tried to strangle her.
Right.
But the leading cause was morphine overdose.
Okay.
So the police did suspect Roy for a little bit, but they had no evidence against him. And Roy believed that Cindy had multiple personalities and was unaware that she was tormenting herself. The only facts we do have is that Cindy was tormented by this and that she suffered greatly. So her journal shows how much she was suffering both mentally and physically from this ordeal. So that's hard.
What did Tom and Agnes do for a living?
I don't know. It didn't say. They're only mentioned a couple times.
I just wonder if she's friends with Agnes.
Yeah.
If she met Agnes through work, that would be a hospital.
Yeah.
So Agnes and potentially Tom could have access to morphine too.
True.
I don't think
Tom supposedly saw somebody. Doesn't mean he actually did.
Yeah, he said he did. Her ex-husband is a
Roy.
psychiatrist.
Yes.
They don't have access to morphine, right?
It depends. If he's working in a psych hospital, potentially they would. Because I mean,
as sedatives.
Yeah, like if
Some
they're doing
patients need to be sedated.
exactly, yeah. And back then, morphine was a pretty common sedative. It's not now, but
yeah, I guess it probably wasn't as tightly controlled.
yeah, if you think about like the world we live in, all narcotics.
I feel like back in the 80s, everyone would have been doing cocaine.
Probably.
Yeah, cocaine's the drug of choice, not morphine or
Exactly.
not pills and stuff. I don't think.
I think that's fairly new for us, like for as a society.
I wasn't there. I don't know. I'm not that old.
Yeah, you look like it. I love you. You can edit that out.
I won't. Everyone's gonna know.
Okay, so sadly, Cindy's parents passed without ever knowing what really happened to their daughter.
Mm-hmm.
They did believe until the end that Cindy did not commit suicide, and like that it obviously wasn't an accident.
Yeah,
so
I don't think it was suicide.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like suicide.
No. So her sister Melanie was 27 when Cindy died,
mm-hmm.
and she ended up writing a book called "Who Killed My Sister, My Friend."
How old was Cindy?
I don't know, but it said she was 19 when they got married, and then it didn't say how old they were when they got divorced.
It didn't say when they got married either. It said late 70s.
Yeah, it just said she was 19. So yeah.
But and then there was 8 years after. She was close to 30.
Yeah, she was probably close to 30. Yeah.
So no one's ever figured out who did it.
No.
This is an unsolved mystery.
So, anyways, her sister Melanie continues to search for answers on what happened to Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
And, people are still pretty split on what actually happened to Cindy James. Some believe that her ex-husband was doing this to her. And some people believe that Cindy was abusing drugs and that either caused or amplified her mental illness. And that she did do this to herself. So, but, we don't know the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if we're ever really going to know the truth.
I mean, it could be the ex-husband who possibly has access to drugs and a reason. Mm-hmm. So I guess a reason to want to do this. Not a good reason.
Yeah.
But it could have been Tom and or Agnes.
Yeah.
I mean, what if Tom was there? And if they're clearly torturing her psychologically, whoever's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a tag team kind of thing, it could be, hey, make her think you want to kill her. I'll knock on the door and you get scared away,
Yeah.
And then I can try and comfort her and make her think I saved her life. It's a psychological game.
Yeah.
Until, for years.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's went on for 8 years.
Yeah. I think it could have been Tom and Agnes. It could be her ex-husband. It could be someone on the police force. The only reason I can see for someone to be that stupid and be a cop, they're either corrupt being paid or they're the ones doing the crime.
Yeah. I don't know. My leading thing is I think it's Roy. Yeah. I think it was Mr. Makepeace.
I think he has the most motivation.
Yeah.
I don't know what motivation anyone else would have had. None of the police involved in the investigation seem to be involved in her life other than this investigation.
Yeah.
I don't suppose there's any evidence that the private investigator she hired was involved in her life before he was hired.
Not that I could find.
Yeah, I think suspect number 1 is Roy, and next in line would be Agnes and Tom.
See, I never even considered them reading this story.
Right.
I never once considered it would be Agnes or Tom.
It's someone close to you. They know where you live already, right? So that's potentially
and they knew
Roy.
where the new house was, too.
Yeah, that's Roy. So probably Roy.
Yeah.
Maybe Tom and or
Agnes.
So
that's it. Now, the movie is obviously much more fanciful and made up.
Yeah.
The person's actually invisible in that. This person, I think, just nobody ever saw.
Yeah. Based on the evidence at the end, the morphine overdose and the 1.5 miles away from her car. Although, I mean, yeah, if she was found dead 2 weeks later in a high traffic area that she would have likely been seen, she didn't take herself there. Even if she did kill herself, she didn't take herself there, so someone knows something. But it's highly unlikely she killed herself.
Yeah.
So based on that, she didn't have a split personality.
Yeah.
She wasn't doing it to herself. She was in a psychiatric hospital for 2.5 months.
Yeah.
She was in a psychiatric hospital, and no strange behavior was observed.
Yeah, no split personality, no nothing.
It's highly unlikely she did it to herself.
Improbable.
Improbable, yeah. Improbable she did it to herself. Probably Roy.
That's my guess. I think Roy did it. Like, no offense. Sorry, Mr. Makepeace, if you didn't do it. But I think he did.
All right. Well, that kind of sucked. That was kind of dark. All right. Well, if you liked it, leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment. Let us know what kind of stories you'd like to hear. If you have a specific story that you'd like to hear, let us know what it is.
Also, tell us if you think Agnes and Tom are even a possibility, because I never thought that they were.
Who do you think did it?
Yeah. We will see you next week. Make good choices, people.